Mic check 1 2. Ah, okay, right, okay. Bear with me. Okay, should be live again. Yeah, awesome. Right, guys, I apologise. I started the live stream and my mic was turned down because I was actually working on a track in the background. I was just checking things and I forgot to turn the mic back on. So, welcome to today's session. What we're going to be doing today is going over creative transitions. I was listening to a track example the other day making a video, and I could hear this simple track idea with bass line, percussion, loop, drop down into a 2-bar break with a sort of a transition sound, and then back into the track again in the full track. So gave me an idea for today's session, and so yesterday I tried to put that together, and I've got that in Ableton Live. So I'm going to quickly sort of switch over, but before I do switch over, and I was explaining about the new t-shirts. These are our new merchandise range. It's the new beanie hats, and this is the new t-shirt I've got here. I sleep, I dream, I sequence, and on the back we've got the logo, and obviously I've got a bit of a cold skin on here because it's very cold in the UK, but that gives me an opportunity to also show you our new hoodies. So the sort of two-tone hoodie, fleece lined with a different colour. They come in navy, black and purple, with different sort of lining colours and also different logo colours on the front. So you can see the logo there and the logo on the back, and obviously the front pocket as well, double fleece lined pocket, very warm. So let me just throw this on, guys, and I shall be ready for the session. And as I say, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I came up with the idea in this track, and in the second half I'm going to show you how I revamped an old track. So now we're fully dressed, let's get into it. And before I do switch over, well, I'm going to switch over now and I'll just show you where you can actually get some of this merchandise if you are interested. So let me just switch these screens, and here we go. Okay, so if you go to our website eliteedmstars.com, or don't forget the hyphens and /shop, well, the shop is here. You can see the beanies, children's t-shirts, ladies, men's, and the hoodies there, which are unisex hoodies, and there's different colours, different sizes to choose from in all of them, in all the ranges. Anyway, guys, so let's move on. Let's make sure I'm streaming, everything's working properly. Okay, so yeah, now I've got my microphone back, I can actually get into it and show you what's going on. So this session we're going to cover creative transitions and revamping old track ideas. So in session, it's a 2-part session, so stick around. I'm trying and get through it quite quickly, as quick as I can for you. So first of all, creative transitions, introduction to the session, which I've done, how I came up with the idea in mind, and making it simple, creating the transitions and putting the track together, or the ideas and transitions together in live looping. Covered live looping before using my trigger pads. I like to do stuff when I'm doing track ideas like this. I like to throw them into trigger pads. I don't always produce in this form. If I'm doing a remix, I tend to throw it into the traditional arrangement view, but when I do stuff like this, I like to have a live set in mind as well. So if I take it live onto stage, I can, it's quite sort of simplified already. So the first part was just a simple percussion loop. The second one is a bass. It's a sample. Then I've extracted the sample, or should I say the MIDI from the sample, to create this lead part, which I'm using a lead sound here. It took a bit of time to actually get that lead sound how I wanted it to, because it wasn't the right sort of vibe. You just have to play around with the different lead sounds. Some are too harsh. And I've also got two different samples here. One's filtered, one's partially filtered, and one's fully open, and the filter comes up even more. and I was looking for a transition idea, so I chose a sample in the same key, very similar to the riff, but it's more of a synth loop. But it can be used, either ideas can be used, and you'll see what I mean. Now I've got just a simple riser effect here. It's on a loop, so it will loop up when I want, if I want it to. It doesn't have to be on a loop. I can take the loop off because I just want them to trigger a particular point, so really I should be taking these loops off. So I'm just going to go in and unloop all of these because I only want them as one shot triggers really. I've got here a stem file, an effects stem file. I've got two stem effects files in the track, so having stem files helps with impacts, snares, risers, ride stems, for example. And I'll show you. I've got another one here, which is this is just a percussive shaker, and I've got one stem file here which is just a ride, and you can see it's broken down into different sections. And by having it like this, it kind of delays the sound for me, so that I don't have to think about triggering that transition, that next transition I want in my track. And they're just subtle transitions. This type of sound is a subtle transition. So let me play it for you, and you'll see what I mean. I'll go through and I'll do it in live form. And as I say, the idea is to create a bass line going round with a percussion, and then transition into another sound, then throw it back in. And it's done quite quickly. I'll do it by triggering the clips, and then I'll do it live, and you'll see what I mean by having these stems placed out. Now the snares, these are not quite in time yet. I haven't done some time stretching on this snare, so it isn't quite in time. So you can see I've got to pull it back a little bit. It's a little bit out of sync. But if you don't have this type of stem, create them yourself in the track. Place them around, do them at intervals, 8-bar intervals, and see what you can come up with, and then bounce them down, save your own stem files, and throw them into live loops and live tracks like this. So let's get on with it. Okay, so it's as simple as that, guys. As I say, it's not going to be a very long session today. It's just I want to show you some simplicities for when you start making a track. When you're making the track, have the baseline idea in mind, have the transitions in mind, because it will just literally help you create the track much faster. What I tend to do is, on the courses, I teach sort of song map generation and stuff, and understanding what you're trying to achieve in your individual steps of creating the track, and what should be introduced and what shouldn't be introduced, and sort of the timings of that. And there's no right and wrong way. Every track's different depending on the style of the track, the tempo of the track, how long the time of the track you want to be. 3.5 minutes for a pop song, or a short sort of garagey house song. Progressive a little bit longer, maybe 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes, up to 6 minutes these days still. It just depends on the track style really, and the epicness of the track. So as you can see, what I've got here is just a simple pattern on this one, and the same pattern again, and on this one here I've got this silent patch which is opened up, and the filter is actually opening up inside of the envelope. So I'm controlling that particular filter here, which you'll see. And by doing that, it literally just allows me to, you know, have the control over the parts, individual parts. I can change those to different sort of shapes if I want to, rather than having the automation throughout the track. Because remember, we're not working in this traditional arrangement view, so that automation will get overridden by anything that's happening in this clip view. So it's important to you know, have control over your clips in that way. And by doing that, I could create the different build-ups, different transitions. I can halve this down if I wanted to, you know, just different variations. And when you're building that track, have that in mind. Have what you want to do in the first 8 bars, the next 8 bars, and so on and so forth. It will literally draw a map out and picture it in your mind. And it will help you transition your tracks so much quicker and so much easier. And literally, if you do have a little trigger pad like this, you'll see how quickly, again, now I'm going to throw a track together, an idea, and then once I've got that idea in the arrangement, I can then go back in and change the arrangement with all the automation in place or whatever's happening. And I just had so much fun doing this yesterday. It literally took me 10 minutes really to come up with this sort of idea. The transitioning, getting the synth right, took a little bit longer, maybe another 10-15 minutes to get the right sound. But in essence, it doesn't look like much, but I've actually got almost a full track and a live track, and you'll see what I mean when I start throwing this together now live. And there you go. So 3 layers of rhythms and stuff, and 2 different transition types to work with, and pretty much you've got a live track. Obviously I could throw a lot more, you know, a few more elements in there, live elements, which I will do, but I just wanted to show you something simple, really simple, how to get an idea started and really make it creative. So without that's that first session done, guys. So I'm going to move on to the next part, and this won't take long. Again, it's just another quick walkthrough. I am trying to keep videos short for you guys these days, just so the bite-sized chunks of information, really. So revamping old tracks. I'm just going to go a tracks walkthrough. I'm going to play the old track, losing some of the original sounds, which I'll explain what sort of happened, how I rebuilt the track and transformed the intro from a dull intro to something that breathes life. And don't be afraid to change things. Like I say, I've got thousands of tracks, thousands of ideas I come up with. I try and create 5 tracks, take the best one and move on. Before that, I build that. So at the moment I've got about 5 solid tracks that I'm looking to want to release pretty soon. I'm going to be using the Soundbirth app. Soundbirth have connected with me. I've got a manager on there now, and they're going to help me promote my music, so that's pretty cool. They basically connected after I did the live blog about them, and the video I did on this channel. So yeah, I'm gonna sort of get that music released, guys, and I'm gonna show you how I revamped this track I did about sort of 2 years ago. I was working on the old Mac and I lost all of the stuff, some of the samples, some of the instruments are missing. I'm going to switch over, so it's going to go quiet for a second. Mic check, 1 2. Okay, yeah, should be back. So let me just check that there's a signal coming through. Yeah, okay, awesome. So yeah, what I did here, I got this track. Let me just find you the original, guys. It's here somewhere on my desktop. Now I'm hoping I just may have to change my audio, so bear with me, to multi-output device. There we go. Oops, bit of feedback there. Okay, so that's the original track, and you can see here, if you look, that was the bass line, and this bass line was going all the way through, pretty much from around about here to here, and it was, by the time I got there, I just had enough of it. I'd had enough of the bass line. It wasn't impacting enough, because when it came to the drop, the idea is I wanted the bass line to impact in that drop with just the kick in the bass, and having it build up here just wasn't working. It was too much, you know. I've got to come up with something new. Now some of the parts are missing in this track, mainly some impacts and some stem files, and some of the synths. Spire synth is missing. Basically I don't have Spire on here anymore, so I'm basically restricted to Silent and Pigment. So I'm using Silent for just CPU purposes, really, and I'm just going to show you what I've done here. But I'm also using the Ableton Live built-in Reese bass. Now by doing this, I just literally came in and changed the notes. I put some pitch bend slide on some of the notes, I believe, although it's not showing anything here. No, the pitch bend is on here. That's why I just got a pitch bend going down towards the end, and you'll see why. So what I've done is I just basically lengthened all of the notes, legatoed the notes, made some of them go overlap so that they bend and they pitch. That's part of the original sound, and it sounds so much better. And I've just literally automated that sound coming through, and you'll see the difference now that it's made to the intro of this track. There's no crashes in, there's no impacts in still. I've still got to work on some of that, but it's just, for me, it's just completely brought the track to life. And obviously I've got a breakdown on this piano here and a filter and stuff coming in, but that's neither here or there. It does make a better transition now to the original track, and I'm just going to play it through for you so you can have a listen. And I'll just play the Reese bass first. Okay, so you can see how much of a difference it's made to the track. When that's cranked up loud, it's really nice, and that warmth from the Reese bass coming up, it gives it life. It growls in the background. Now obviously I've had to change the original bass as well. I'm just using a little short little clunky sample, sort of garagey clunky sample here for the bass instead of the original bass that I had, which was more of a sort of subby sine saw bass that I was using previously. But I prefer that now. It gives it more of an impact for me. It's more of a hollow sounding bass, which is what I'm after. It's then filled back out again with the Reese bass coming back up. While I'm talking about transitions and stuff and creative transitions, you'll notice in the track that there are some nice transitions going on with the filters and the delays and stuff. And the feedbacks are basically being cranked on some of the delays. You can see it all taking place here. There's a lot of sort of automation happening, and certain places, certain times, there's lots of automation all being sort of automated at the same time on lots of different things, like the percussion. The drums have got automation on, so you're getting lots of tails off the percussion and stuff. So that helps to transition over and create that sort of nice bridge between the two. Something I forgot to mention in the other video, guys, is that when I created those transitions from the bass into the sort of leady sound, I put a ping pong delay on the actual lead, and that ping pong delay will help carry the transition across. And I don't just put it on a quarter note or a triplet note, I put them on a dotted note. Using dotted 8 notes is probably one of the best techniques that you can use to get some nice sort of rhythmical transition in your music. Again, making bass line patterns using eighths and eighth dotted notes will really help bring your music to life. It will create that nice syncopation. Triplets are good, they're okay, but they can get a little bit shuffly and stuttery if you don't do the right thing. So dotted eighth notes, dotted eighth MIDI notes, dotted eighth patterns, and eighth notes patterns, and also your delays using a ping pong delays with dotted eighth notes. Have a play around with those, and you'll find that you'll have something really good, and you'll get that rhythmical transition. So I'll just play you again this little break section. You can hear the transitions going on with all of the automation taking place. And just to show you guys what I was talking about the eighth dotted notes on the synth, it's going to switch back to the other track, and I'll just quickly show you that, and then we'll call it a day for this session. Okay, so what I was talking about is this synth here, this synth sound. I'm just going to play it through you with, I'll turn the filter right off. I'm going to play the delay. You can see is on a ping pong delay, and I've got my timings on eighth dotted notes here. I can show you there, left and right. It just tends to work better, and you'll see what I mean. So you can see what I mean. Where you use a triplet note, it's more sort of choppy. It's like da 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 da. Whereas a dotted eighth note is more of a sort of a da 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 da. If you see what I mean. Right, sorry about that. So you couldn't hear me then talking. So what I just said there was basically, if you want to create some good syncopation in your tracks, then use eighth dotted notes. If you want to create stutters and little stutters on your transitions, use then triplets. And maybe I'll do something like that next week, is creating little stutters and transitions in there. So sort of continuing this theme of transitions, creating little stutters from your audio. We have done it before briefly. There's different ways, there's plugins you can use to do it as well. I don't have any of the plugins to create those stutters anymore, so I'd have to do sort of things the traditional way manually. If I want to do a deck stop, I would have to capture the piece of audio and then just pitch it down really quickly. And if you want to know how to do that, I might as well just quickly show you. So a good way for me to do that is if I just resample. If I create a new track, insert an audio, and this is again, say, keeping on the theme of creative transitions. Stutter edits are really good for transitioning. So if I just set my external in to resample, and then I'm going to record this track. I'm just going to arm this track, and I'm just going to record what's coming in. that actually stopped recording, guys, halfway through, but that doesn't matter. It's because I changed over, and obviously as soon as I've changed another clip, it's stopped the record arm trigger. So anyway, the thing I was trying to do is I just wanted a quick loop, really. What we got? We've got a loop here, 4-bar loop. Okay, so you get the idea. You get the idea of what I was trying to. So, hang on, have I got any audio talking here? Yeah, I have. I've got an input. So you kind of get the idea of what I was trying to do there, guys. I'm just literally creating a loop and sort of chopping it up in triplet mode. So I've gone into my groove here and triplet, and I might even go into 32s and get it finer. And doing this kind of thing does take a lot of time, guys, so I can't come up with a perfect transition right now this quick in a couple of minutes. I'd have to focus on the piece of audio I want and sit there and cut those little chops, but that's a quick way of creating little stutters, little gates, or something like that. You could try it with a noise gate as well, try and sort of chopping it with a noise gate and a side chain, or side chain it from a piece of MIDI. There's so many different ways and techniques that you can try things that become creative in the actual process, really. But yeah, sort of without sort of sitting there and really going over it, it's quite simple, because I've only got a loop and a bit of a synth going on at the moment. If there was a lot more going on, like the transition section, I might be able to sort of chop that lead section out and create a little sort of stutter on the end of the lead. But I just wanted to sort of show you these little different processes that when you're making a track, you should be thinking about these, really, and it becomes part of the actual construction track writing process. And when it's in your mind as you're putting your track together, sometimes a little glitch may happen in the computer which causes it stutter to happen. You think, oh, that's a great idea, how do I recreate that? And it's a case of it is experimentation, especially when you're chopping around with audio. You've got to have the right piece of audio, even maybe just bringing in like a full bass waveform and chopping it up and creating some kind of effect out of it, or doing it with a vocal. Vocals work really well. So hope that's helped, guys, with some creativity. And I'm going to go and get warm now by our lovely stove fire, and it's dinner time. So yeah, have a great weekend, and if you liked today's video, please like and consider subscribing to the channel, and check out the merch. if you like it. It is getting cold. It's perfectly, it's keeping me lovely and warm, and I've got this lovely little pouch here to keep me warm. But yeah, just showcase it off again, guys, so you can see. Oops, and the logo on the back there. So with that note, I bid you a farewell and have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye bye now.